Here we go. All right, here we go. So tonight in Mitzvah Hashem, we are going to talk about Purim, being that Mitzvah Hashem next week is Purim. So we're going to learn a small, but usually an incredible Torah, small and short, in Likuety Moharan, the second Chelek, Torah Ein Daled 74. Okay. So here we go. Achar Purim. This is page Amud Lamed Hey. Regular. Tinyan, the second Chelek. Lamed Hey, second Chelek. Achar Purim, Purim Parshas Parah. After Purim, we lay in Parshas Parah. Shehi Achon Pesach, which is a preparation for Pesach. Ki Parshas Parah Korin Kadesh Yuli Zorin Litor Mitumas Mes. The reason why we, laying Parshas Parah, everybody will be aware of the danger of becoming Tomah Mes. The thing is that there is no, it's not an avera to be Tomah. It's an avera, you're not allowed to get into Beis HaMikdash, Betuma. This you can't do. You can't eat Kodshim. So you can't eat Korban Pesach. So regularly, all year long, you have no reason to go to Beis HaMikdash, unless you come, you kind of to watch me, but to eat Kodshim, to get into Beis HaMikdash, you don't need to. But Pesach, you have to, because you have to make Korban Pesach. So, if a person, goes around, he wants to bring Korban Pesach, if I remember, I went to Levaya, I went, whatever it is, I was oil Tumas Mes, whatever it is. And the thing is that Tumas Mes is not enough to go to the mikveh. Tumas Mes, you have to do, 7 days, you have to do, a sprinkling of mechatos, 3rd day, 7th day. So it's a whole process. So we learn Parshas Parah, which deals with Parah Aduma, how you prepare the mechatos and everything. So the people remember, nachon, I happen to have that, so I better take care of it before Pesach comes around. But
where do they do that? In Yerushalayim?
Yeah. The Parah Aduma is that I don't know if the Hazor has to be done in Yerushalayim Davka. I mean the preparation of making the Parah.
Way stations. Like
no, they're Parah Aduma. I'm not sure. You're asking a good question. I don't know. But the point is that it doesn't say the Torah part of the spritzing of the mechatas, with the ezod and this, that errors and ezod, that you wrap it up with shani, with the red wool thingy.
Been long lines to get on there.
I don't know. In those days, people were very careful. But whatever it is, it's like the thing is that
a lot of people needed that tikkun.
I don't know, but the thing is that Arizal says that we have absolutely no notion of the huge loss of the fact that we don't have mechatas today. He says because the asaga that we would have, we'll be able to insight we would have into Torah, if we were pure from Tumas Mes, is infinitely greater and deeper than when a person is Tumas Mes. So we have no idea. I mean, we see what we see. We don't see what we don't see. Anyhow. So it's very interesting. It says Achar Purim, Korim Parshas Parah, Sheyachon al Pesach. So the question should be here. So what the Rebbe says after Purim, you Parshas Parah is preparation for Pesach. You said before Pesach, right? Before Pesach you read Parshas Parah. What does Purim have to do with it? Okay. So the Rebbe says, now the Rebbe explained. Okay? כי בתחילה הוא בחינת פור. The very beginning, the reality was an essence of bechina of Pur. Ki Purim al Shem Pur. Why is it called Purim? Because the Haman made a lottery, made a burrow. Where this
I mean, the start of the beginning.
No, we'll get there. Now, the situation, the state of being is a bechina of Pur. We'll talk about what it means. Bechinas Pur, but Chalai Pur. Because Purim, how is it called Purim? Because Haman made, this lottery, that to make a girl to find out when Purim is supposed to come. And then it becomes Paro.
The same letters.
Except there has a hey. This has a vav, this has a hey. Okay? So Kam and Pur obviously originally doesn't have hey. So what's going on here? What is this and what is that? So the answer is as follows. We have...
the same letters as Para.
Yeah. So, but Pur is Pei Resh. And Para is Pei Resh and a Hey afterwards. Okay, we're going to explain this right now. Okay? What happens is like this. The Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world for us to get to know him. In order for us to get to know him, we need to have Bechira, right? Because Baruch Hu wants us to work on ourselves and have Bechira and serve Kodesh Baruch Hu from this world and then have that service. Now, in order for us to have Bechira, there has to be a mechanism that constricts and hides a Kodesh Baruch Hu. So they'll be able to, be different things. We can, there's mitzvahs, this is averus, whatever it is, like different kind of midos of Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now, when a person, a person is created in order to recognize the Kodesh Baruch Hu in this world. When we get to recognize Kodesh Baruch Hu with his different midos. When a person, let's say, he needs Yeshua, he needs money, he needs parnasa, he doesn't know what to do, so he davens to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu arranges things in such a way that either gets a business deal or somebody gives him money or whatever it is. Oh man. Because Baruch Hu arranges in such a way that suddenly, look, I have Yeshua. Now, obviously, if I didn't have a need, I wouldn't need to be delivered. So I'd never notice that anything was amiss. It's like everything's okay. Only I don't have, and that's a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And Kodesh Baruch Hu arranged in such a way that I do have, that I recognize a Kodesh Baruch Hu. I don't see him, but I recognize the chesed of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Here, Kodesh Baruch Hu gave me. There's a shepherd that came to me. So I come to recognize the Kodesh Baruch Hu from Midas HaChesed. He did chesed with me. Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu did with me. Got to tell you an amazing matter while we're already here. A cousin of mine, I have two of them. One of my cousins told me once, with total certainty, like batuach, he says that he is a fanatic secular guy. And I was like, he's like a Haredi in his secularness. Now, just a couple of days ago, what happened was that this cousin of mine, for decades, had a translation business, technical translation business. So he would translate, I don't know, people, electronics, computers, that come with many instructions, how to use it. So it's in English, it's in French, it's in Spanish, whatever it is. So you have to translate to Hebrew because people buy it over here. So he had a business, for a few decades that he was doing. He was, was a tichtiger guy, and they were working on it. And there's like, oh Hashem, had a nice business for many, many years. Well, guess what? Comes AI, his business went belly up overnight. Literally overnight. Bada bim, bada boom. That's it. No more business. Now, the thing is that it's not a problem of money. He's a Masodika guy. He's, salted his money away, put his money away, whatever it is. There's no problem there. But he doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, he has no reason to get up in the morning. He usually get up in the morning, takes his bike, he's riding his bike, he's going to work. So there's nothing what to go to work for. He doesn't know what to do. So this is what happened, I think, this week or the end of last week. He was so despaired, like didn't know what to do with himself. He told me the story. And he said that he sat in his room. He says he made sure that nobody hears him, nobody sees him. And he says he lifted his eyes and he said, if you give me 3 jobs, I'll put on film. I'll put on film. He went to the office, 3 jobs are waiting for him. So he freaks out. So he said he's going to put on film. Okay, listen, you don't start up with, somebody, okay. So he went, he found a Chabad, the Stender, and he put on film. And he spoke to my other cousin. And my other cousin is a unbelievable guy. He's originally like an alley cat, the other one. And he told him the story. So he tells him, why did you ask for 10 jobs? Well, 3 jobs, for 10. Okay. He goes and put on film, he asks for 10, goes to the office, 10 jobs. And now he's freaked out. He's totally freaked out. What is he going to do? So I spoke to him. So I told somebody that I need a couple of pairs of film, one for him and one for for the 2 cousins. And I call him up and I said, I'm going to have film for you. So he said, no, I don't need it. I said, it's not going to cost you any money. He says, that's not costing any money. So I told him, okay, we're not going to tell you anything. But I told him, you had a very, very special experience. Because as we spoke here about this particular concept many times, that, the levels of being alone. Somebody doesn't have anybody, somebody that has people, but they don't care about him, and somebody who has people who care about him, but in his own head, he's all alone. He's nowhere to turn to. So, but in there, in that chamber, in your mind, the Kodesh Baruch Hu is there. Now, the thing is that anybody can call out the Kodesh Baruch Hu and ask him for something, he'll get it. But the light is not going to remain. But when you do a Maisa, you do a mitzvah, it creates a vessel, creates a kli for the light to remain by you. I said, you were, you witnessed, you experienced firsthand a contact with the Kodesh Baruch Hu in a way that, you know what he said, told me? I don't want to talk about it. He's scared out of his mind. Yeah. 70 years without, then suddenly everything is turning upside down. So I don't want to talk about it. It's okay. I'm okay with Chabad. Leave me alone. But it's coming for Purim, to B'Shemesh and the whole thing. So. Bekitzer, so here, he got to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Midas HaChesed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put him in a position of need. You are too comfortable. All right? Okay, so let's take it away. Now you're asking to get it back. Boom. Okay? Same thing, like a person standing there. I don't know, there's somebody, a robber or a lion or whatever it is, and it's like is threatening him. And the person is totally scared, whatever it is. Suddenly there's a huge explosion, there's thunder, whatever it is, and that animal gets scared and runs away or whatever. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through Midas HaGvura. Okay, now. Midas HaGvura and the Chasodim comes from the level which is called Bina. The level of Bina, we spoke about it many times. Bina is that space capsule that will enable us in the future to gaze upon HaKadosh Baruch Hu without any limitations, without becoming obsolete, and canceled out, in the eternal life of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now the Bina has is the source of the 5 sources of dinim, of gvura. The gvuras come from the Bina. They correspond to the 5 fingers of the hand, of the left hand. There's 5 chasodim, which is the right hand. There's 5 gvuras of the left hand. They come from Bina. So everything that has to do with gvura has this element of 5 within it. Like a person speaking, okay, is a the dibur comes from gvuros. So we have 5 the instruments of the mouth, the throat, and the tongue, and the teeth, and we have 5 of them. So these are 5 ways of sort of like limiting and sculpting the raw sound that it comes out of our throat. So you hold it back with the and with this and with the sh, and the, these are different ways of controlling the sound and building the dibur from that. The dibur comes from gvuras, and so forth and so on. Every single kind of gvura is divided by 5. Now, the Nevi'im explained that these gevuros are signified. The highest levels of secret is not in the longest text, but the shorter it is, the higher the secrets. Therefore, the highest of all are the actual individual letters. Every single letter is an olam mole. The entire world was created with the base of Bereshis, and everything that followed afterwards was just unfolding of everything which is intrinsic in this base. So the Gevuras are also represented with oisius. Which oisius? They're represented with the 5 double oisius. Mansepach. Mem, you have mem the way it's written in the beginning or in the middle of the word. Then has a form that's written at the end of the word, end the mem, right? Nun, okay, nun is also, there's a way you write in the middle, and there's a way, the long nun you write at the end. Pei is the same thing. Beginning, middle is one way, and Pei Safit is this way or this way, right? And then Chof is the same way. Chof is either like this or it's like that. These are 5 letters that have 2 versions. One, the way that you write it out, you form it in the beginning or middle of the word, and one way, the way that you do it in the end of the word. Okay. The thing is that we learn that Gvura always denotes a holding back.
Restraint.
restraint. Kodesh Baruch Hu is everything, right? In order for something else to exist, Kodesh Baruch Hu has to exercise restraint. Okay? So when you're saying two, Kodesh Baruch Hu, in creation, it means there was an act of restraining involved. Otherwise, everything would be one. The same concept exists in a person's home. If a person wants to control absolutely everything, everybody's supposed to do the way I can, whatever. So he's basically filling out the entire space. So in the Chinami, if everything, maybe goes the way he wants, maybe not. Usually he's mad and angry all the time. In order to have, but the thing is, you have no relationship. Why? Because you don't let other people be. You don't give them, space to move their arms. So in order to have a relationship, you have to hold back. That gives a place, a room for the other person to breathe, to be, and then you can have a relationship with them. So when you have a letter that is written in two different ways, that is a remez, this is a hint, that there is a meter of gvura acting. There's a restraint act, exercised here. There's a gvura working here. There's a mem like this and mem like that, and pay like this and pay like that, like this, and so forth and so on. And samech like this, and tzaddik like this, and so forth. There are many, many reasons why dafka these letters. There are many reasons why the number value of each letter. The mem is 40, the pay is 80, the nun is 50, the tzaddik is 9. And so there are big saydas in this whole thing. But what we need to know is that in totality, when you take Mansapach, you take the mem, and you take the tzaddik, and you take all these letters, you put the gematria together, you get 280. 200 is gematria what? Pei Reish, right? Par. This is whenever we say there's a state of dinim lo aleinu in the world, it's called that there is par dinim, 280 dinim, that so all the possible combination of dinim coming down, lo aleinu v'lo aleinu. This is called par dinim, 280 dinim. As Rebbe says in the beginning, it was par. What was par? Am Yisrael was a Mitzrayim. They descended to Memtes Sharatu. They did the Zara, whatever it is. But there are two things that they didn't do. Three things they didn't do. They didn't change their names. Yeah, Moshe, okay, Moshe the Zara, whatever. They didn't change their language. And they didn't change their clothing. In other words, it says in that Godim, they were distinct over there. Whenever you looked, there's a Yid, He didn't put the Magen David inside his shirt. He looked there. In other words, Am Yisrael, as low as they went, they didn't have a Zara. Kriyas Yamsuf, they say, these are of the Zara, the Mitzvah, and these are the Zara. Why, you prefer these ones to these ones? In other words, they went pretty low, 49. But they didn't lose their Jewish identity. So there was still a bechina of din that wasn't all the par dinim. It was a lot of dinim. I'm sorry, Mitzrayim had to be moifsim, whatever it is. The whole thing to take them out of there. So that was very, very dangerous, or very, very close. At Kadekah, the Kodesh Baruch Hu saw that Chas v'Chalila, if he leaves them in any longer, that's it. They're never getting out. So quickly, he got them out. And later on, they came out of the midbar, whatever it is. In the midbar, there also, there was also kind of shenanigans that were going on, whatever it is. Am Yisrael is a Canaan Hara, strong-willed people. It's like oh yeah, prove it. So they went to Israel, whatever it is, and with all the miracles and everything, went to Israel. Then Am Yisrael, was doing all kinds of shtick. So comes Melech Knan, what a government. So they said the Baruch sends a judge. Fine. And so it was, back and forth and back and forth. Each time there were dinim, but as bad as it was, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like we saw. We know Gidon is one of the judges, one of the biggest judges. Because Baruch Hu says, "Go ahead and save Am Yisrael." So you want a proof? I'm going to put a lump of wool, and I put it and let it be that in the morning I'm going to leave it outside. In the morning, that the wool will be wet from the dew, and everything else will be dry. So what's in the morning? This is what happened. Okay, well, it could be, maybe wool, retains the wetness, whatever. Now I want to be opposite. That the wool will be dry, but everything else will be wet. Okay, but did that. Okay. In other words, if the judge, wasn't a madrigal, he needed proof that Kodesh really means that. In other words, but still, with everything that went on, they still, as bad things they were, the Churban, the whole thing, they went to Bavel. When they went to Bavel, they went down. They were so broken that they went down all the way to the 50th gate, to Shara Hamisha. There's, on one side, you have 50 gates of Kedusha, of Tshuva, of Bino. On the other hand, you have the 50 gates of Tumah, and so forth and so on. At that time, what happened to them, Am Yisrael started getting married to Goyish women. Getting married to Goyish women means that that's the end of Am Yisrael. Because a child that becomes, born to a non-Jewish woman is no longer Jewish. Now, the Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world, so the Jewish people will serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will discover him, will get to know him through all the meters, okay? If the Jews are in Shara Chamishim, in other words, there's no getting out of Shara Chamishim. That's it. It's finished. There's no reason for the world to exist anymore. So that brought about the onslaught of all the 280 verdicts, dinim, par dinim, 280 dinim. That's what Rebbe says, Kimitchila, it was poor. Poor means pay in the beginning, resh at the end, and the vav in the middle represents Am Yisrael. They were surrounded with all the par dinim, lo alechem v'lo aleinu. That brought about Achashverosh, that brought about Haman. The whole thing came out because there was an exposure of all the din. Now, what actually happened then? Haman was a big chashiv. He knew everything. Amalek. Every nation that is fighting against Am Yisrael, they have some kind of beef, something. The Egyptians, they were afraid about their own interests, Moav, Midian, whatever it is, they all had, their own reasons, they're going to take from us. The only one that came to fight Am Yisrael with no reason whatsoever, no interest involved, nothing, was Amalek. He was like, it was 400, 400 away. And he took all his armor, whatever it's called. Am Yisrael just came out of his arm. He's going to fight him. Who invited you? What are you doing here? No. Amalek is to eradicate Chas v'Chalil, the name of Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's only, it's pure evil. There's nothing in it, no self-interest, no reason, nothing, just pure, unadulterated evil, Hashem evil. Evil Knievel. So Amalek was Haman, right? So he came to Achashverosh and he told him, listen, now's the time. Finish up the Jews. Achashverosh himself was also, he's a bigger anti-Semite than Haman. Someone came to him and says, listen, it's not a start of drain a cup, there's a whole nation over there.
How's that? Hashverosh wasn't
Yeah. Yeah, he was. Better. It was a bigger Russia than Haman. So
he's Amalek too.
it might be. I think that I heard that he was. But anyhow, the main point is, Haman came to him and said, there's a nation, totally useless. They make their own holidays. Today they said, today is Pesach. I'm sorry, I can't work. Today is Shabbos. I'm sorry, I cannot come. Today is this, a Shahi Pahi, the Pesach Hayom, Shabbos Hayom, whatever is it. The king doesn't need them. I said, you're worried maybe, you're worried about, the income of taxes from them? Don't worry about it. I'll give you the money. Haman was a huge tycoon. Had the money. I'll give you the money. Don't worry, you're not going to lose anything. Achashverosh was a bigger Russian. I said, forget about the money. I don't need the money. Here, take the ring. Send the letters out. Now, when was this entire thing taking place? This was taking place in I think it was in Nissan, right? Nissan or other. Anyhow, it was taking place. Haman says, no, I think it was in Nissan. Yeah, it was Chodesh Nissan that Haman says, this is what's going on, and now he wanted to know whether the time was auspicious to finish Chas v'Chalila the Jews or not. So how can I know? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a lottery. Now, lottery means something that the Das has no reach for. There's no logic to it. It's either beyond Das or below Das. They say that a story about a person that decided, in the olden days over here, they used to have lottery tickets. There were physical tickets. You came, you took it, they cut out a little thing, they open it up, whatever number it is, and that was your lottery ticket. A person comes to this lottery stand and he says, I want you to count 25 tickets. And I want a 25th ticket. Okay, customer's always right. Flips over, 1, 2, 3, 4, gets 25th. Here you go, pay the money, whatever it is. A week later, he got over there. He wins the great prize. Or his family's like, wow, what are you, a prophet? How did you know that's the 25th ticket? It's unbelievable. I said, no, I'm not a prophet. I'm not a Ruach HaKodesh, but I'm a dreamer. I went to sleep. In my dream, I was sleeping there, and I saw huge letter 7 was shining. And then I saw a great shining letter 8. And afterwards, a great shining letter 9. So I woke up in the morning, why did that 7, 8, 9? So 7 plus 8 plus 9, 25. That's the one I'm going to take. I went and bought the ticket. And this is just a second. 7, 8, and 9 is 24. How'd you get to 25? So he says, you see, had I known math, I wouldn't have won the great prize. So lottery and seichel has nothing to do with one another. There's no das in lottery. Okay? So I wanted to know, this is Yom Kippur, whatever it is, you need to do the old davening. So also you need to go draw a lottery. Why? Because in the das, in the level of knowledge, that which there are limits. Up to here, this is already too much. Hey, now you're crossing the red line. Now you're going over the line. Okay? In other words, because there's a seichel das, up to here, these are my red lines, you're not going to cross, blah, 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 whatever. But on Yom Kippur, you need to have, in order to ameliorate and to sweeten all the dinim of the Averos of Am Yisrael, you have to bring about kapara from beyond das, from the realm which is higher than das. This is where we learn Torah Samach, Tikkun Atik, and the whole thing. So this is only, you cannot reach it with das, because das already limits. How do you know something? You're limited. Okay, what does it mean? I know that you're here because I see you. I see that you're here. But if someone were to tell me that you're here, and you're also in Jerusalem, I wouldn't know where you are. Oh, yeah, here and there. But it has to be only here. It's delimited. It's defined. Just it. Now I know it. Anything which is not defined, we cannot know. In fact, we know by defining things. That's black. That's red. Everything. But we have to bring about chasadim from beyond the das, so bring them down. That's why, the two goats, on Yom Kippur, how do you know which one goes to Azal or which one goes to Hashem? You have to make a goyrel. You make it like a kalki. So Haman says, okay, I need to know if this is the auspicious time to do away with my enemies. So how did he do it? He says he made a goyrel for the months and for the days. What does it mean? He took one box and he put 12, I don't know, pieces of paper or whatever it is, and each one according to the month of the 12 months of Am Yisrael. Nisan, and so on. And then he took 364 pieces according to the number of days that the Jewish calendar has. And he put in another box. The cheshbon is this. He's going to take out a piece from the month. So let's say it'll be 1. It means that it has to fall in Tishrei. Or Nisan, if you're counting from over there. It's starting from Nisan. If 2, then it's going to be so forth and so on. Now he took around all the days. All the days, the first day has to happen on Nisan, right? The 30th day is still Nisan. But if you took out, 31st or 34th, it means the next month. So if the pieces of the months and the pieces of the days didn't stem, they didn't match, that means that it doesn't mean anything. But if the months and the days are working together, then he would know that the goyrel came out. It came out. Came out, it was 14, 13 of Adar. That's the day that the number of days came out, which stems together with the number of months. Okay, the girl came out good. He got the great price. Okay. He goes to Hashverosh and tells him, what's between you and me, Jews. Okay, so what are we going to do? So he says, listen, if we're going to just send out, so we have to do a dafka on that day, on the 13th day of Adar, right? Cannot be on any day before, because that's what the girl said. But if we were going to send out a note, from now on, there was Nisan for Adar, like 11 months on. Who knows what can happen in 11 months, all kinds of, in politics, 11 months is a long time. I can make a deal, I can make a this. Okay, so what are they going to do? They're going to write an edict from the king that it's going to be written, it's called and it's going to be sealed, and with the signet ring of the king. And upon that it says, B'shum panim v'ofen, top secret, you're not allowed to open it until the day before. And they send it out everywhere. Every single country, every single city, whatever it is. The idea was, you don't open it until that particular. Everybody was like chalching to know what's written in there. Until that day, you cannot open it. Okay. Nobody knows what's written inside these telegrams. Remember telegrams used to come in these envelopes, whatever. But Mordechai, and not everybody was in Sha'anun. There were tzaddikim. There were always tzaddikim. Mordechai was a huge tzaddik, and Mordechai, an angel came to him, a malach came to him and told him, that's what's going on. That's not possible. Not possible, what are they? Because yeah, the Chas Chalila, there can be various Holocaust programs, yeah. But all the Jews, that's not feasible. That's not possible. So the Medrash tells that tell the whole thing. He went to Moshe Rabbeinu, went to the Ovis, whatever it is. There's nothing we can do. Bar dinim, pay resh, 280 dinim. Nothing can be done. So Mordechai lets Esther know. Now Esther was already 12 years after the story of Esther. This thing with Haman. Vashti, the whole thing with Vashti, whatever it is, and then Esther came, and so when Vashti said the king sent, these letters that Vashti did this, every person should speak with his own language, should put it in his household, whatever it is, and he sent it all the way out. So people already knew, the king is sending all these letters out, whatever it is, they don't know what it is. How long do you think passed from the time that Haman spoke to Achashverosh and he sent out the letters? Anybody can tell me, how long did it take? Until suddenly, everything turned over, Mordechai, this, Haman hung on the gallows, How long did it take? 3 days. Mordechai, Esther, all the Jewish people, men, women, children, everybody's fasting for 3 days, sitting down on the floor, crying, doing tshuva, the way there was never done tshuva me'olam, from ever, ever, ever. Oh, it's such a, okay, now there's a reason to keep the world running, So the Baruch was mehapach the whole thing. 3 days later was the Yotzeit of Haman, who was hung on a tree. 3 days later. Now they said letters to send out to all the people. Esther comes to Achashverosh and says, there's still the first letter. You can rescind it. It was sealed with the signet ring of the king. You can't take it back. The king says, I can't make a fool of myself. He was already full without it. You can't make a fool out of him. But what can you do? So they say, I tell you what. Send another letter, which will be sealed, the sealed ring, and to be opened the same day. And what does it say? It's not going to say, the first letter is invalid. What it does, it gives reshus for Israel to defend itself against Hamas. That's it. You have a right to defend yourself. The Jews have a reshus to go and just, kill all their enemies. The same day you open this letter, same day you open that letter. There comes another letter with everybody, to everybody. Get top secret. You can't open it. You can't break the seal. Now people are totally discombobulated. Now they hear, we're talking about 11 months later, Haman is already hung. Now they find out who is the wife of the king. She's a Jewess. So for 11 months, people are freaking out. What are these letters? They already had some kind of idea. They got a letter from Achashverosh, Vashti, has another wife, and this wife is Jewish. What could possibly be in these letters? Probably, now Mordechai becomes, the chief kahuna. He's the advisor, the advisor of the king, right? So in the top of the letter, he says, in this particular day, you open it up, and the Yehudim get a reshus to avenge all the enemies. People don't know what the Jews. Mordechai is a Jew. What's written in these letters, sealed letters? Maybe it says, that we're supposed to be killed. The Jews are going to kill us. I don't know what's going to be. So the first thing, something probably says that you're supposed to honor all the Jews. Give me a cover. Immediately they started giving cover to all the Jews, whatever it is, everything is like. And then people said, but maybe something, I don't know, maybe I'll be killed to the Jew, but my son is going to beat a Jew's kid. But up to, he didn't give cover to the, something. He's going to the Misad Apnim, he's going to write on his Tudat Zehut, he's Jewish. They didn't actually megar. They're so scared, if the day will come, the Jews are supposed to be avenging from their enemies, well, me, so that's it's written, I'm Jewish, right? So I'm not part of it. I'm one of the good guys. So the end, the whole thing, they have no idea what's going on. When Am Yisrael did this tshuva, they invoked the 5 chasodim. This is the hay. So from Pur, which is Pei Reish, which is the utmost of the dinim, becomes Para. The Pur with the hay, with the tshuva. And everything was nimtok. This is what the Rebbe said. And he says, Nasapara ki gam Purim hu bevada hilach v'dech lePesach. The B'chinas if soisav shoshani more notfos more over. More, we said this is a shoshana, rose. This is alludes to Hadassah, to Esther, a rose, the Malchus, and more over. He says Mordechai Meter, everything is mentioned in the Torah. And he says, where does Haman mention the Torah? He says, Hamina etz, did you eat from the tree I told you not to eat from? So, did you eat from that tree? Hamin. Hamin is Osis Haman. To eat from its adas, to bring death to the world. That's Haman. So, Esther in the Torah, that was it say, Vanochi Aster Astir. This is where Esther comes from. What about Mordechai? So, it says about the Besamim, it says Mo Dero. More is, mire. It's an incense. Draw means it's free, it's clean, it's pure. In Aramaic, it's called Mar Dechi, clean. Mar Dechi is Mordechai. That's what the Gemara says. This is where Mordechai comes from. In other words, Mordechai is a proof for the existence of Kodesh Baruch Hu, but you don't see it with your own eyes. You just smell it. Meaning the Meifes of Kodesh Baruch Hu did on Purim was greater than all the other Meifes. Why? He said, all the Yom Tov, won't be considered except, Chanukah and Purim. Purim is going to say, why? What do you mean? Shulchan is going to change? Not going to change. It'll still be Pesach and, all the, but the light that is going to permeate the world at that time is going to be from Nun Shara Bina, from the 50th gates of Bina. So it's people will see HaKadosh Baruch Hu with their own eyes. All the Adi Yom Tovim, that we have today, the Pesach and Shavuos, and whatever. This is a great illumination, but according to our situation now, which is constricted, which is Nemtes Shara Bina. It's not the 50th gate; it's 49. So we'll still keep the Yom Tovim and everything the way it's Shulchan Aruch, but it will be like the 50th gate will already shine. So it will be such a big, hevdel between this and this. Sifsasov is a Sifsasov. What does it mean? His lips, the Pchinas Pesach. Pesach is Pesach. The mouth starts to open. Teresamech will learn, the Dibur, this is when the Seichel, this is in Pesach. Shoshana is Esther, in a sense. And it says, Neufes Mar Oiv, the Pchinas Mordechai, More Dora. Ruach Chirus of Pesach means that the Chirus, more Dror means freedom. It's Chirus, this is representative of Pesach. That's why the combination of Purim itself is already mentioned in Pesach itself. In the Pasuk it says, Shivas Yomim Torchav Matzos, Kasher Tzivisicha Lemoed Chodesh Aviv, Kivoy Afatzat Mitzrayim. 7 days you'll eat matzahs, because that, like I ordered you, in the month of the spring, because of that month he came out of Mitzrayim. And my you won't come to see me, Mikdash, without bringing an offering from the bracha that I gave you. And it says, Mi Mitzrayim velo Yeru Panav Reikom is the acronym Rashi Tevis Purim. In Pesach itself, there's already thing of Purim. Purim hu derech Pesach. Purim is the way to Pesach. And the Rebbe said, and then the Rebbe did stop there. He did not continue to reveal the story any more than that. And he says, in the beginning, all the beginnings were from Pesach. Zechar Tzes Mitzrayim, this is Zechar Tzes Mitzrayim. And this is Shech Mitzrayim, Shabbos, everything is a memory commemorating Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's why all the mitzvahs are in remembrance of Yetzias Mitzrayim. The Rebbe said, and he didn't continue. He didn't continue, this Torah, and he didn't continue that particular. So Nosson said, it is obvious from what the Rebbe says here that the beginnings we always used to be, for Pesach, but now the beginnings are from Purim. In other words, to do tshuva, to get to access this bechina of Me'aladas, this is the end of Purim. Means as follows. In order for us to be able to get from a state of par, of dinim, we have to reach a level what's beyond das. You can't get there with your das. Ishara Chamishin, you can't get there. The only way you can get there is if you become the mitzvah of being drunk on Purim. How long do you have to be drunk? Answer is a few seconds, no more. Now the thing is, the big Yitzhahara on Purim, to get people to throw him off this mitzvah of getting drunk on Purim day. And come the mitzvah. What happens? Erev Purim. After the Megillah, everybody comes home, everybody's up, whatever the whole thing. They start drinking, whatever it is. They go to sleep 3 o'clock in the morning. They wake up, I don't know, 10 o'clock, whatever it is, 9 o'clock. They hear the Megillah, whatever it is, and they have to go home. You have to take your car. You have to drive Shalach Monis to 1,001 people, and this one with this, and they want to give this one. And Chas v'Chalila will get from this one, we wouldn't give him back. Don't ask. The kids, until you get to this, and you have a mincha, whatever, and you sit for the soda, whatever it is, and then finally a person gets tipsy, and it's already Tzeitzak Echavim. What happened was he was drunk on Erev Purim after the Megillah, but that's not the time. The time is during the day after the Megillah. And so that's why it's from the Baal Shem Tov, it's a Masorah, and Bayas, of course. After the Megillah, usually you have to eat something, because it was Panisesta. But you eat something, that's the thing, eat something and go to sleep. Then they wake up, Chatzois, or a couple of hours, whatever it is, down Vasikin, and then after Vasikin, they go, even in the shul, they make a Suda, they start eating, they're drinking, the thing is that it's not glug to guzzle up the whole thing, get totally smeared up puddle on the floor within 5 minutes flat. That's not the idea. The idea is slowly, drink another cup, eat a little bit, drink another, whatever it is, more, whatever it is. Takes an hour, takes 2 hours, whatever it is. And at a certain point in time, you're not sure whether, it is Baruch Haman or Mordechai. Wait. Baruch Haman, no, wait. Okay, now you got to the 50th gate. You're beyond the Das, and you got the 50th gate. This is the way to be pure from Tumas Meis. In Echanami Lalacha, you're not pure Tumas Meis. But spiritually, you are, because you visited Shara Chamishim. Now you're ready to make Pesach. Baruch Hu should help us. To have here the Megillah, every single word, and V'zat Hashem, both by night, but by day. Shouldn't not drink by night, no go, whatever it is, with the shtitzim, with the by night. There's no mitzvah in it. Go to sleep, wake up. Purim is a gewaldige time. Whoever sends out a hand to receive, he gets mitzvah to give him. If for people like the Kodesh Baruch Hu, Vadai Kacha, you ask Kodesh Baruch Hu, you beg Kodesh Baruch Hu for everything that you need. To do this, you go to sleep, you wake up, you make his way, you make it. Do it the way it's supposed to be done. Hashem was Zocher B'ezrat Hashem to Purim Sameach, and B'ezrat Hashem was Zocher to return to Mashmez and Pesach Sameach and the Shabbos and Yom Tov and all the good things. Call to